Hello, and welcome to another episode of Gabby Tries to Make Things. Today I'll be making a super quick and easy men's garment, or anyone can wear this, for a Renfaire based off of a pattern from the Typical Tudor. And this is a jerkin pattern, so what I've done is basically just look at the pattern and how they put it on the grid in their book, and then I am just copying it over visually. This is a super quick and easy method, not exact, and this is if you're trying to go to the Ren Fair the next day and you only have a few hours to make something. This is super quick and super easy. I made it in about 4 hours, and you can too. So I basically measured my husband and then drew the pattern to fit his size. And this is just some gift wrap paper. And then I realized it was too big, so I sized it down, and I am checking here my work. And then I am laying the pattern pieces out on my fabric, and we are going to cut that. And I did not use a machine for a large portion of this, and I still got it done in 4 hours, so it's super easy. Here's my first piece cut out.
Because this was part of the arm's eye, so I didn't need to cut that off.
And I used a lining for this, so these are some ties just from a duvet cover. I was super lucky that those were already made. Yeah, just sandwiched those in the middle of the two layers while I was putting them together. And for each of the pattern pieces, I sewed the lining to the outer layer and then flipped it inside out.
Okay, so here we have our finished doublet. And I was in a super rush, so I didn't get to finish filming as much detail and tutorial as I wanted to, so I'm just going to show you here. And what I did was actually sew each of these pieces, the lining and the fashion fabric together, and then flipped them all inside out and sewed them into like basically all just individual sets of pieces that were then whip stitched together. I honestly, my brain has a really hard time figuring out how to do things so that I don't have to do that, and I kind of like the way it looks anyway. It's just a lot faster for me than trying to logically figure out how to sew everything and then have only the inside seams be the part that's visible from the outside. I hope to get better at that, but I didn't have a lot of time. I made this whole thing in about 4 hours, so it really is a super quick and easy piece that you can make. I wish I hadn't trimmed this down. I got a little bit confused because I was rushing, and I trimmed down this part of the sleeve because I thought that this was the whole arm's eye, but then I realized afterwards that this was also included and there was plenty of room for him. So I wish I had left more of this because it would have come out more like to here. Obviously it's too broad for my mannequin because it's built for my shoulders and not my husband's shoulders, but let me show you the back. So the back is one piece here and then two pieces here. So I'm happy with how it came out, at least. It looked really good on him. I'll put as much of a clip of him walking as I have. But yeah, I really like this fabric. This is the same fabric as my 15th century kirtle, but I dyed it a little darker to not make all of the pieces in my wardrobe match, like an episode of, what was that show? That fashion design show. Leave a comment down below if you remember what that fashion design show was called, where you like made a cap, I guess like a line, but everything was made of the same fabric, basically. Yeah, so these ties were actually, lucky for me, pre-made because they were part of a duvet cover that I used to lengthen my cottagecore kirtle to make it more Tudor time period appropriate. So I already had these, and I basically just sandwiched them in the middle of the two layers, and then when I flipped it inside out, they were already on the outside and they were already made. So that was easier than trying to do buttons and buttonholes super quick. let's see how close I can get on this stitching. Yeah, so these are just whip stitched together, and honestly, it's a pretty strong stitch. Like, unless you really yanked on this, it's not going to come apart, and it's not a weight-bearing seam, so I'm not worried about it. I did a back stitch here. Let me show you on the other side. For the side seams, which is the actual part that's going to get pulled the most, I actually did a back stitch, so I put the back panel inside of the front panel, and then I just did a back stitch. So that is fully inside. And I think if I did actually do a whip stitch here along the shoulder seam, and it's actually holding up perfectly well. Not a problem at all. If I was going to continue working on this, I would probably do sort of like a decorative pick stitch along the edges to make sure that the lining actually stays inside. And I'm not sure I got the neckline exactly right. Let me show you the example. This is the pattern here, and I don't feel like I got the neck exactly right. I think I made it too wide in the back. Like you can see here, it comes up farther. But honestly, for 4 hours, I'm happy with it, and it was totally viable to wear at a Renaissance fair. Of course, if I was going to a historically accurate event, I would definitely make something that took a lot more time and detail into crafting the pattern, but this is part of my series where I'm trying to show you how you can make something super quick and suitable for all of the Renaissance fairs this summer and fall. Hello. Hi, Angel. Yeah.